I would like to introduce Ms. Meghan Creamer, who graduated from CCBC in 2005 with a degree in our paralegal program from the School of Justice. And when she was with us, her name was just about synonymous with Phi Theta. She served as the president of our own Beta Alpha Tau chapter on the CCBC Dundalk campus, and she also then served as the Maryland State President of the Middle States region of Phi Theta Kappa. She's a pretty special graduate. She received our Distinguished Graduate Award when she graduated, and she also gave the commencement speech that year. She left us, went on to West Virginia University, where she finished a bachelor's degree in public relations with a Soc minor, and she is now employed at the very same law office where she did her interning when she was a student with us. So please join me in welcoming Ms. Meghan Creamer, one of our Phi Theta stars, and she will introduce Dr. Risley, who really has had an extraordinary influence on all of our students, not only across the state, but across the land by the organization he oversees. Meghan?
Thank you, Dr. Kurtinitis. I am so delighted to be back at CCBC, where I began my college education and had the good fortune of being inducted into the Beta Alpha Tau chapter of Phi Theta Kappa. I have to admit that I never intended to get as involved as I did. The promise of transfer scholarships enticed me to join Phi Theta Kappa, my first spring at CCBC. But I soon discovered that Phi Theta Kappa offers much more than transfer scholarships. It gave me the opportunity to be involved in extracurricular activities, to expand my group of friends, to make business contacts, and so much more. I became a leader, serving as president of our college chapter, and then being elected Maryland State President for our region. I also discovered how critical having a support network like Phi Theta Kappa could be. 4 months into my term as Maryland State President, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. I wanted to quit school, but my fellow captains, my advisors, and my professors wouldn't let me. They encouraged me and supported me, helping me make it through the hardest year of my entire life. Thanks to CCBC and Phi Theta Kappa, I graduated with honors, earned a special award at commencement, and was selected to deliver the keynote address for my graduating class. To this day, when people ask me about my proudest accomplishments, I tell them marrying my husband, my daughter, my career, and graduating from CCBC. Most of these people know that I also graduated from West Virginia University and are surprised when I say CCBC instead of WVU. While I received a wonderful education at WVU, there is no comparison to the experience I had at CCBC. CCBC and Phi Theta Kappa shaped me into the person I am. This is why I am especially honored to be here today. I know firsthand the impact of what you do and what your keynote speaker does on behalf of community college transfer students like me. Dr. Rod Risley has been a passionate advocate for community college students for more than 25 years. He has studied, written, and spoken extensively on the impact of student engagement on retention and credential and degree completion, and conducted research on the academic and extracurricular performance of community college transfer students. As Executive Director of Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society, Dr. Risley has received national recognition for his research into the correlation between honors education, leadership development, and service learning and student success. In answer to President Barack Obama's call to action to increase credentialing rates, Dr. Risley played a leading role in developing the Community College Completion Challenge and the Community College Completion Core, and he has championed the cause of completion and addresses to national and international education conferences. Dr. Risley has been responsible for the development of the All-USA Community College Academic Team and numerous scholarships for students pursuing associate degrees and transferring to pursue bachelor's and advanced degrees. 2 other initiatives created through Dr. Risley's vision, the Phi Theta Kappa Leadership Studies Program and collegefish.org, a transfer planning platform, are also available to all community college students. His commitment to community college students' success is as impressive as the many honors and accolades he has achieved. It is my distinct honor and privilege to present to you Dr. Rod Risley.
Thank you, Meghan. That was beautifully done. Well, I must confess, when I saw your program, I was a little bit intimidated to have to follow Uri, but now Meghan. Goodness, what a wonderful story of completion. Congratulations. We're so very proud of all that you've accomplished in your life. Before I start, I do want to recognize some very special people in this room, and that's our Phi Theta Kappa advisors. They go above and beyond their staff duties and in the classroom to serve as champions for our students. So if you're a Phi Theta Kappa advisor, would you stand so we could recognize you and give you a round of applause, please? I must also say that in the state of Maryland, in doing my research before coming to this, for this presentation, more than many states, this state is leading the way with regard to the completion initiative. The kinds of conversations that you're having at this point are far beyond, if you will, in scope and in substance, what many other states are just now discovering. So I applaud you for that. At the same time, I do want to take a few moments to give some context as to why completion matters to everyone in this room and beyond into our communities across the state and across the nation and globally for that matter. I want to share with you what Phi Theta Kappa is doing, and through the creativity of many of the chapters here in Maryland, they're all super committed to complete, I believe, by looking at these buttons. But I do want to share with you a little bit about why this is so important. You know, it seems like from the days of our inception, nearly 100 years ago, that our institutions have had to constantly fight for legitimacy from a standpoint of respect and from a standpoint of resource allocation. It always seemed that our institutions and our organizations associated with them were the Rodney Dangerfields of higher education, would just get no respect. But let's put this in perspective. We really are, community colleges, the new kids on the block. Our institutions have only been around 100 years. And when you consider that many of our senior colleges date back to the 1600s, that puts it in perspective. Yet today, we enroll nearly half of all undergraduates in higher education. Impatient? Yeah, I would say we're impatient. Passionate? You better believe it. Missionaries? Undoubtedly. I want to share with you a story of my college president, Dr. Tom M. Spencer, Sr. During his career, Dr. Spencer started 5 two-year colleges from the ground floor, not campuses, separate multi-campus colleges. When I served as national president of Phi Theta Kappa and was attending San Jacinto College, he took me on tour of the last campus. Went through every lab, every closet, every classroom, and I stopped him in the parking lot. And understand, Dr. Spencer was a rather large man. He was about 6'6", weighed about 300 pounds, and when you shook hands with him, your hand disappeared. And he talked real slow. So I asked him, I said, well, Dr. Spencer, why are you doing this? Why do you push yourself to do this, starting all these colleges? And he stopped and he said, well, Rod, what you don't know is we're on a mission. And I really didn't understand at that time in my life what he meant by mission. But I certainly stood witness to his passion. Providing access to higher education to fulfill dreams for a better life has been central to the mission of community colleges from the beginning. We are committed to the principles of the democratization of education as key to having an educated citizenry. And, like those who walked before us, we dreamed of the day when the two-year colleges would be recognized for what they do well, unlocking human potential through quality instruction and personalized attention. So let's fast forward now from that time of my conversation nearly 40 years ago with Dr. Spencer. Never in the history of community colleges have our colleges received such national acclaim as we find ourselves receiving today. Never have we received the acclaim from educations and national foundations and from the media and from politicians. When you go back through the last 3 U.S. presidents' State of the Union addresses, they identify only one higher education institution as critical to the economic welfare of this country and its future, and that's the community college. They are vital to our future. Hardly a day goes by today where you don't turn on NBC News or CNN and not see a favorable story about community college. Pick up the Washington Post, USA Today. It's all there. Even the Chronicle of Higher Education featuring our community college completion core. All such positive news where before we could not get the kind of attention we felt we deserved. And I would not think that I'd be standing here in front of you today to say that Ivy League schools, Cornell, Columbia, Amherst, University of North Carolina, Berkeley, Stanford, all these Ivy League schools are aggressively recruiting community college students. Why? Because we now have the data to show that if they are given a seat at a selective institution, a 4-year college, our community college transfer students will perform as well academically and in leadership roles, if not better, than those who attended that selective college exclusively for 4 years. That's pretty strong data. I'm proud that Phi Theta Kappa participated in the first summit called by a U.S. President at the White House, and that our Phi Theta Kappa members were providing input into the education forums. But why are we getting all this attention? Well, partly due to the surging enrollments in our community colleges. But our enrollments increase always during economic declines, but something very different has happened this time. While in the past, increases in enrollment in community colleges during periods of economic decline are attributed to retraining, workforce development, when you disaggregate the data and you look at what constitutes nationally this bubble of this increase, it's not workforce. It's first-time, full-time, traditional age freshmen. Why? The gap between tuition of a public community college and a public university just a few years ago was 50%. Today, it is 67% and widening. So what are the ramifications of this? What this means is that when the economy does recover, that our enrollments will not decline at the same rates that they have during other periods of economic recovery. This demographic is not going to go away. What this also means, these students, being younger, are going to want the true, comprehensive educational experience. They're going to want service learning. They're going to want honors programs. They're going to want extracurricular, which means it's going to cost more money. It's going to be even more difficult to serve. And we have the other end of the spectrum with the increasing number of students who are coming to us who are not ready for college. but we have to serve these students as well. So, we are in the spotlight because we provide access at a low cost, quality instruction, we respond quickly, but we have to be careful what we hope for because it might come true. Now we are in the spotlight, and we're going to be seen, warts and all. Historically, we have emphasized access with the philosophy that a student has the right to fail once being admitted into a community college. In other words, we have focused on access, but very little on student success. And we have even resisted such measures. But I promise you, there is a nationwide movement gathering incredible momentum and power that will subject our institutions to measures of accountability that will make us all nervous and uncomfortable. The current administration has set a highly profiled goal for America to once again have the highest proportion of its citizens who have earned a higher education credential by 2020, which means an increase of more than 5 million students graduating, earning a credential or a degree. At the same time, governors and legislatures in 29 states have committed to holding education institutions to new levels of accountability, including measurements and metrics of retention, degree completion, credential completion, time to degree. And recently, the National Governors Association announced that college completion would become part of their agenda and called on colleges to set common definitions and standards for rates of graduation, transfer, time to degree, certificate completion, successful completion of developmental courses, and much more. Make no mistake about it, state funding formulas and federal grant requirements will be modified to reflect completion rates rather than being based exclusively on enrollment numbers. Performance-based funding is coming to our neighborhoods across this country, whether we like it or not. Some of these policies will be good. Some will make us uncomfortable. So it would appear that the best plan is for our institutions to take actions now, head it off, and define the standards for ourselves. And that is why that Phi Theta Kappa joined the 6 other national organizations to accept the Community College Completion Challenge. The President's Association, the Trustees, Faculty and Staff Association called NISOD, and CCBC, and the League of Innovation. Never has there been such a sense of urgency regarding completion as it is today. Never in the history of the community college movement have these organizations ever come together to do one thing. Why the urgency? According to the latest OECD report, the U.S. has fallen from number 1 among the 34 countries, industrialized countries, to number 16, with the percentage of its population having earned a higher education credential. 1 to 16. Last year, we were at 12. What are the implications? We cannot expect to compete in a global economy without a skilled workforce. By 2020, 70% of all new jobs will require a post-secondary credential. There are approximately 7 million students taking courses for credit in our nation's community colleges. 85% aspire to complete an associate or baccalaureate degree. But of that, only 45% actually complete a credential by the end of 6 years. 50% of community college students express intention to complete a baccalaureate degree. But depending upon the study you read, the most recently one I read, only 10 to 25% actually do. So let's do a little math there. 7 million students taking courses for credit. 50% would be 3.5 million. Only 10% actually get the baccalaureate degree, 350,000. The Seattle Times last month reported 27,000 jobs available today in the state of Washington, unfilled. 600,000 jobs exist today, are vacant in the manufacturing industry. 400,000 jobs are available today in the healthcare industry that are vacant. I've identified over 1 million jobs that are available today but are vacant because we have not given the students the skills and the education they need to fill those jobs. Nationally, 60% of the students coming into our community colleges must take at least one remedial course. Of these, only 30% actually complete the course. And of those, only 6% actually end up earning a credential. We've got a disconnect, a major disconnect. Think of our nation's current unemployment rate. I've shared with you the 1 million jobs that are available today. Think of the lost tax revenue. Think of this public support that we're having to pay for those who are unemployed and unemployable. How can we afford to teach students skills for jobs that today don't exist? And when I say workforce, I mean the entire workforce. Those in the highly skilled trades, but also teachers and lawyers and scientists and engineers and researchers. When we use the term workforce, we often get caught up in misperceptions. We need not so much tech junkies, but students to be tech savvy. We need students with higher reading, math, and science skills and communication skills. We need what Edward Gordon, author of the Winning Global Talent Slowdown, calls knowledge technologists. And why is this important to community colleges? By 2020, an equal percentage of jobs will require baccalaureate degrees or associate degrees. The fastest job growth area for our country from now until 2018 will be for associate degree holders, double that of baccalaureate degree holders. But in a major national survey just released, only 30% of employers agreed that graduating students possess the necessary technological or meta skills, those higher order skills like critical thinking and communication and collaboration, to be gainfully employed. Only 30% agreed. The majority of PhDs awarded in the STEM fields by U.S. universities were awarded to international students, not American students. And think of the implications now when these students return home to compete with America. I cannot overstate the urgency we face in this country. The future of our nation, our public education system, our defense, our ability to take care of those who can't take care of themselves, all are at stake. The Completion Initiative is as much about streamlining process, reallocating resources, reviewing support systems, and developing culture as it is about the end result of increasing the number of degrees or credentials. The culture today for supporting completion in many higher education institutions may be best characterized by the professor who stands before the students in a big lecture hall and says, "Look to your right, Look to your left. Neither will be back by the end of the semester. The culture of the right to fail must be replaced by a culture of completion that provides support systems and encourages and helps all students complete. Many say that students come to community colleges with no intention of completing a credential or degree. Thus, colleges often excuse themselves from the responsibility of supporting student success and completion, not part of our mission. While it may be true that there is value in completing just one course, I believe it is an abdication of responsibility for us not to take the time to help the students understand the benefits of completing and the consequences of not. We don't have time to point our fingers at K-12 instructors, accusing them of producing students who are not college ready. It is much our fault as theirs. In many states, K through 12 instructors are being held accountable to teach to a test that is not a predictor of college readiness. It's simply not their fault. And we must include business and industry leaders in the collaboration to ensure that we are teaching 21st century skill sets to provide 21st century jobs for our citizens. So all that said, we have no money. What are we going to do about it? Well, I love this thought. You know, talk is cheap. And what I mean by that, it doesn't cost a dime to have a conversation. And that's what we have been doing with your Phi Theta Kappa student organizations who have been leading the way with this Community College Completion Corps initiative. The Community College Completion Corps is an attempt to reach as many students as possible, not just your Phi Theta Kappa students. We are actually reaching out to all student organizations to help the students understand from the moment they step foot on campus why they need to complete and what the cost will be if they become impatient or if they stop out. So what we have done is we have developed a toolkit of resources that we've distributed to all community colleges in the country. Some of these I'm sure that you have seen already. And what we have been doing is actually having the students themselves make a commitment to complete. We've helped them understand what the barriers to completion are, what the pitfalls will be, and they have agreed themselves to commit to complete. Colleges, and I know many in this state, have been holding campus-wide, college-wide signing events where you'll see the big banner, the C4 banner in the wall, and the students are all signing. It's an attempt to increase that awareness not only of your students, but of your faculty and your staff of the importance of this completion initiative. To date, we've had over 200 of these events held nationwide and have reached over 30,000 students in terms of this. And what I want to do is to share with you the creativity in terms of what some of the colleges are doing with regard to completion. This one from Texas is an interesting one where the students are sitting with the faculty face to face and praising what they do well, but also helping the faculty understand the barriers they face as students every day to try to complete. Here in Maryland, a Commit to Completion fair. I love this because they had stations where they could have degree audits, course advisement, financial aid completion, and they had passports stamped at every station that they passed. Their passport to completion. One college in Michigan held a week-long series of programs bringing in industry leaders to sit down across a table from students, asking, what kind of courses should I take? What kind of career path opportunities might I have by staying in this community and working for your company? Barriers in a bowl drawing. This is where the actual students put the barriers that they were encountering to completion in a big bowl for a drawing. What a wonderful resource for the institution to have to understand firsthand what the students were encountering in terms of barriers to completion. A do-drop-in mentoring program, helping at-risk students and those in developmental education courses. And this one, which was featured in the Chronicle of Higher Education, to help teenagers understand the consequences of unplanned pregnancy on their journey toward completion. You can go to the C4 website and see the listing of all the colleges and the kinds of activities they're undertaking with regard to completion. But for faculty and staff, you cannot underestimate the importance of your role. I'm going to ask you some questions and ask you to do a few things. As I mentioned, conversation is cheap. What I want you to do is I want you to ask your students who want to transfer before earning their associate degree if they really want to increase the likelihood of them never, ever earning the baccalaureate degree. That's what the data show. They transfer early, they stand a chance of never getting that degree. Now, I realize in a few isolated programs, students may have to transfer early, but in general, they should not. In many states, and this is happening across the country, legislatures are mandating acceptance of all associate degree coursework from a public community college to the public universities. If a student falls one credit short, that student gives the senior institution the license to be able to rip that transcript apart, require them to take additional courses, repeat courses, and the two leading factors preventing completion, cost, and time to degree. They simply will not make it. So have that conversation with them. Ask those students who want to transfer before earning an associate degree how well they think that they will be able to compete for a job against those who have the credential. When an unexpected life experience comes along the way and they have to stop out, whether a sick parent, a sick child, or spouse, employers will hire the credentialed applicant. Ask those who want to take just one class and not complete a credential how confident that they are by 2018 they'll be able to compete for a livable wage job when those jobs will all require a post-secondary credential. Ask those who don't think a credential is important if they really want to leave $400,000 on the table. I'd love to see the hands in the room in here who has $400,000 to leave on the table. But that's how much the student leaves on the table by not completing the credential. By completing the credential, they will earn $400,000 more over their lifetime than those who have not. Set and articulate high expectations of your students. Your students will rise to your lowest high expectation. Students will rise to your lowest high expectation. Recognize and celebrate success often. Studies show that the more frequent feedback that students receive in terms of tests within a term, their completion rates are significantly higher than those who only receive feedback once or twice a term. Recognize success. Hold these people up high so that they become the role models. If a student is eligible for an honors society, don't let it be an option. Tell them how important it is to be validated, but also for those who they associate with. We need to raise the expectations and aspirations of all students. That doesn't cost money. Tell them engagement is essential, and tell them why and show them how. It's not easy, I know, to get students engaged when they have families and have jobs, but we must do everything that we can to engage them, to move this completion meter. Your encouragement will make all the difference in the world. Our studies have shown that if a faculty member outside of the Phi Theta Kappa advisor, a faculty member recommends that a student who's eligible for membership accept membership, that student is 10 times more likely to accept. Keep in mind, so many of our students don't know what an honor society is, or the scholarships that are available to it, or the soft skills that we're actually being able to empower these students with. They don't know. Their parents didn't go to school. They're simply in survival mode. And we need to have these conversations with them. And please tell them their education is their primary job. That's the primary job, is getting that education, and don't let things get in the way. And as my good friend Kay McClinney says from Student Engagement, students don't do optional. Let me repeat that. Students don't do optional. What we end up doing is giving them an encyclopedia of options. They are paralyzed by the thought, the choices. They don't know how to make those choices. And we must move away from simply advising which course selection to make or to take, to advising about career pathways. Let's talk about pathways before we start talking about courses. So I ask you, please don't underestimate your importance in terms of your role with regard to completion. You don't know the power of a kind word or how discouraging a frown can be. I'm going to show you a brief video that will drive across my point.
These are the faces of community college. Hi, I'm Angela Flake, and I am proud to be a student at Mount Hood Community College in Oregon. Reporting from the world's largest gathering of community college honor students, 3,500 strong, attending Phi Theta Kappa's 93rd annual convention in Seattle, Washington. The theme of this convention is Commit to Complete. We want to begin by giving a shout out to some special people. New president and CEO of AACC, also member of the Phi Theta Kappa Board of Directors, Dr. Walter Bumpus.
Hi, Dr. Bumpus.
Also chair of AACC, my own college president, Dr. John Skigilski.
Hi, Dr. Ski.
And the biggest shout out of all to all the presidents and administrators and the great AACC staff.
Hi, AACC.
With me are 14 outstanding students representing the incredible diversity of community colleges. First-generation students, students who entered college directly from high school or following homeschooling. Some in our group are non-traditional aged, students getting a later start or a second chance. We come from all different countries, age ranges from 16 to over 40, but we share this in common. Our lives have all been changed by our community college experiences and the opportunities we have received. You've given us, and millions of others like us, a new day and a new promise. And we want to take just a moment to share some of our stories and express our thanks to the AACC, the Coca-Cola Foundation, Coca-Cola Scholars Foundation, and sponsors of the New Century Scholar Program for giving us the encouragement and resources to complete college and become educated, responsible citizens of the world. First, we will hear from the New Century Scholar from New Jersey, David Seal.
Community college was a second chance for me. My community college, the County College of Morris in Randolph, New Jersey, looked past my academic failures and my lack of motivation. My classes at my county college challenged me, and my professors motivated me. They showed me that I could succeed. Now, I'm a Phi Theta Kappa International Officer, Geist White Scholar, and I helped develop the International Community College Completion Corps. I feel as though I'm on my way to a strong career.
Now, Rachel has a different story.
I'm Rachel Shampoo. I'm from Southern Maine Community College, and I'm also the New Century Scholar of Maine. I decided to choose a community college instead of a university because at age 14, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I also really needed an easy transition since I was homeschooled during high school. Now I plan on majoring in computer science, focusing on artificial intelligence.
Wonderful. Now, Ashraf is one of the many of thousands of international students attending U.S. community colleges. Ashraf, please share your story.
I'm Ashraf Amado. I'm from SS County College. I come from Benin Republic, where poverty and education and opportunity were limited. I was lucky to find a great community college which is preparing me to pursue my dream to become a medical doctor. College completion is an international issue. When I finish my medical school, I'm planning to return to Benin to ease the poverty and education system and ensure that students finish what they start in my country.
Thank you. Kelly, please share your community college experience.
My name is Kelly Daves, and I am from Tarrant County College in Texas, and I'm also the New Century Scholar for the state of Texas. I returned to community college to make a better life for myself and my children. And Tarrant County College has assisted me throughout the entire process. They have a schedule that will accommodate my family's schedule. They have affordable education, and they have teachers that genuinely care about student success. I hope to return to the community college and pay it forward by becoming a professor there myself.
That's a wonderful story. Now, my personal story is that I never expected to be able to go back to college. I moved to Oregon to nurse my father through a fatal illness, and college suddenly became a reality. Choosing a community college over university seemed like the most obvious decision. Mount Hood offered free tutoring, counseling for caretakers, and financial assistance. Everything that a non-traditional, first-generation student needed to succeed. Now, I'm an international vice president for Phi Theta Kappa and a Geist White Scholar. If anyone had told me 4 years ago that I would be standing here today, I would have never believed them. Our community college presidents and our instructors believed in us when we didn't believe in ourselves. All of you have given us hope for a new day and a life with new promise. A new day, a new promise.
A new day, a new promise. We will complete. We will complete. We will complete.
See you all Sunday in New Orleans. Go
Hawk!
That was great. You did it.
I show that because I know in your classrooms throughout this state you have student stories just like those. Students who didn't believe in themselves, but somebody who took the time to believe in them. David Seal from New Jersey, the one who had a second start. Jack Kent Cook Scholar. Rachel, who didn't know at 14 years old what she wanted to do and went to a community college being homeschooled. And Angela, there, going home to Oregon, moving to a state she was so unfamiliar with to take care of her dying father, and ended up being an international officer of Phi Theta Kappa. It's remarkable how we have the opportunity to empower students through encouragement. I wanted to share with you too the importance of completion with regard to Phi Theta Kappa, and I'll go through this very quickly. These are scholarships that are available to your students, not just Phi Theta Kappa, but all students, through our new Coca-Cola programs. The Coca-Cola New Century program, the new Gold, Silver, and Bronze program, and these students are featured in USA Today. The Leaders of Promise program is actually for your Phi Theta Kappa students, 180 $1,000 scholarships. Of course, our All-USA team, and our new nursing program that we've expanded to offer $2,500 scholarships. And of course, transfer to senior colleges. The Jack Kent Cooke Foundation offers the largest scholarship offering, if you will, to community college students. Through our work with them over the last 10 years, we started with 5 scholarships. We're now up to 60. All their undergraduate funds now go to community college transfer students. And the good news about that is students who now are selected for the Jack Kent Cooke undergraduate scholarship are automatically, if they stay out of jail, are automatically given a $50,000 scholarship for master's or doctoral work. And we have established a new transfer scholarship called the Heights Scholarship, which we have expanded now to 12 $7,500 scholarships. Our Geistweights you heard of. Your all-Maryland academic team students, all-state team nominees across the country, $41 million in scholarships available to them now. And through Phi Theta Kappa, 700 institutions that offer $37 million in scholarships for your students, a total of $87 million through Phi Theta Kappa and our partners. This completion initiative will require the collective efforts of all of us, faculty, staff, presidents, trustees, and students. We must develop within our institutions the confidence, to expose both our strengths and our weaknesses. We must not fear revealing our deficiencies. We must commit to a culture where decisions are data-driven and embrace a culture of evidence as the first step in developing a culture for completion. We must commit to becoming better at what we do, and that starts in our most vulnerable areas. Let's take those who support us not to our places of success. Let's take them to the areas where we need help, but let us give them a plan and show them what we can do and a strategy of how we can become better. The previous philosophy of providing access with the right to fail must be replaced with a philosophy and culture that provides access with the opportunity and support to succeed. Let's make sure our open doors cease being revolving doors. Success as a college in the past does not indicate future success. In my view, it could even be a barrier. We can no longer do things as we've done in the past. Students are different. They learn differently, and we must meet them where they are through development of learning communities and cohort support. Teaching pedagogies must be completely redesigned and rethought. This, my friends, is not being driven by a new fad or just a new way of doing things. This is being driven by the need to survive. I encourage all of you here today to commit to completion, and that you commit to becoming champions of your students by helping them complete what they start. I encourage you to accept the Community College Completion Challenge, set your goals, and publicize them throughout your community. The Community College Completion Challenge is a call to action to our colleges. Our nation's economic prosperity and our democracy are hanging in the balance. Thank you.